So what is the interior design principle of rhythm? Hi everyone, it's Carol from Discover Interior Design, and I'm so glad you're here. Well, in this video, you're going to learn about rhythm and how to use two different types of rhythm in your home to create a consistent look as well as bringing variety into each of your spaces. So let's get started. So first thing, let's just talk about what the interior design principles are. So I always think of them just kind of as a guide, different components that we want to incorporate into our design so that it's successful. So when we think about our home, we want to always incorporate different types of balance or create harmony. And in this case, we want to incorporate rhythm into our home to help create both a functional and beautiful space. So rhythm is a way of creating movement, and you can think of maybe two different types of rhythm in our home. We can think of a regular rhythm and also one we could call maybe irregular or more complex. So when we're talking about regular rhythm in our homes, one example of that would be a field of tile on a wall, whether that's in a bathroom or in a kitchen. And if everything is the same and very repetitive, we could look at that wall of tile, that field of tile, and see that that rhythm is very consistent and predictable. And another example of that could be in this room where we see a row of windows. All three windows are the same size and shape, and they're in a row, and it's kind of this predictable rhythm that's going on, and it's very consistent and very repetitive. And when we talk about regular rhythm in our homes, when we use that in our homes, we kind of think of that as a nice, calming backdrop to a room. It provides some predictability and it provides a sense of structure to different elements in a room. It's a way to kind of group things, repeat things, so that we can just kind of create a structured and nice look to whatever it is that we are designing. And then when we talk about a more complex or irregular rhythm, that usually means a mix of regular rhythms and maybe a more complex rhythm. And a more complex rhythm has something in there that's kind of breaking things up a little bit. Maybe it's a focal area or an area of emphasis, and it's kind of breaking up maybe a field of regular rhythm that's going on somewhere in a room. So this bedroom is a good example of that. On that wall behind where the bed is, there's this regular rhythm of these different panels on the wall, and there's this predictability, consistent, repetitive rhythm that's happening with those panels. But the bed, because it's kind of in the center of that wall and it becomes kind of this focal area of that room, it's kind of breaking up that regular rhythm, kind of creating a more complex rhythm where there are some other things that are happening in the room. And then more complex rhythms help to add variety to a room, because if we have everything just in a regular rhythm, then that may become kind of monotonous. So it's important to kind of create a balance between using both regular rhythms and also something that's maybe a little bit more irregular or complex. So let's take a look at a couple of rooms where we will look for regular rhythm as well as something that's a little bit more complex and irregular. In this kitchen, we can see that the cabinetry is providing a regular rhythm because all of those upper cabinets, say where that refrigerator wall is, they are all the same. They're all the same size, all the same style, also all of the same color, and the hardware is all the same. And there is this sense of repetitiveness in that kind of regular rhythm. But that regular rhythm is broken up with the refrigerator and those ovens and where that coffee maker is. And that helps to create a little bit more of a complex sort of rhythm where it's not just all the same. The refrigerator and those ovens and even that built-in coffee maker take up some visual weight. They kind of draw our eye over there, and we notice those kind of focal areas inside the regular rhythm and background of those cabinets. And then one more area I want to point out is the kitchen island. So the kitchen island has the same cabinetry as the rest of the kitchen, but instead of keeping that regular rhythm of all of those cabinets the same, they decided to paint those cabinets blue. So right away, just by changing the color of something, it helps to break up maybe the monotony of seeing the same color everywhere in a room. And I'd love to find out from you, what are some other areas in this kitchen that you see have kind of a regular rhythm happening? And where do you see some examples of where that regular rhythm is being broken up? And then let's take a look at this living room. We can see on the right side there are 3 windows, and right away that's a really nice example of kind of a regular rhythm. The same size and shape of windows that are kind of in a row. When we look over there, it's very predictable and consistent. But then when we look over to the wall where the fireplace is, there are different things that are going on over there. One thing is that wall is being broken up by the fireplace. The fireplace and even the TV somewhat is taking up a lot of visual weight and kind of becomes the focal area. And so that kind of creates kind of this more complex rhythm that is going on over at that wall. And at the same time, there's some regular rhythm going on in the repetition of the shelving on either side of the fireplace. And then within that fireplace, they're using some regular rhythm, just in how they are using one type of brick so that it creates an overall and consistent repetitive layout and look to that fireplace surround. And then another thing that you may want to notice about this room is how they displayed all of the accessories and anything else on those shelves next to the fireplace. And those shelves have this nice regular rhythm happening kind of in the background. But then they decided to place those accessories not in a regular rhythm sort of layout. Instead of placing everything on a bookshelf, for example, all in a row, creating kind of this regular rhythm, they are kind of displaying things in different areas. So it kind of helps to break up something that could be very kind of regular and maybe in a way monotonous if everything were just lined up in a row. And then I'd love to find out from you, what are some other areas in this living room where you see some regular rhythm happening, or some areas where maybe a regular rhythm is kind of being broken up a little bit just to add more variety. So one thing that I think is important when we're talking about rhythm and regular rhythm and one that's a little bit more complex or irregular is the concept of variety. And I always think it's kind of important to create a room where you do have some variety, where you don't have everything that's in kind of this regular rhythm, that you bring in some different things to help kind of break things up. And sometimes that naturally happens, as we saw in that kitchen, because where we place a refrigerator or a cooktop, that's automatically going to kind of break up that regular rhythm. But what are some other ways that we can do that in our home? So let me know if you have any questions about rhythm and different types of rhythm that we use in our home. And then I'd love for you to take a moment in your busy day and take a look at one of your rooms. Maybe it's just your kitchen, and just to notice some regular rhythms that are happening in there and some other ways where that rhythm, that regular rhythm, is kind of being broken up a little bit. So share what you find out in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.